Israel. Learn English podcast with Safa Shelley, the world's best language school. Let's go.
ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אנחנו בית ספר המוביל בישראל ללימוד אנגלית ולימוד שפות. אני אריאל, שמח להיות כאן איתכם היום שוב. יש לנו פודקאסט מרתק היום, שימו לב, הוא יהיה כמעט כולו באנגלית. זה לרמה, בינונית ומעלה. אנחנו מדברים היום על ספר של נפוליאון היל, חשוב, והתעשר. זה ספר שהוא משנה חיים. אם אתם רואים שאתם מתקשים בהבנה של הפודקאסט, או אוצר מילים שאתם לא מבינים, גם צרו איתנו קשר. אנחנו נשמח לשלוח לכם גם סיכום של כרטיסיות כאלה, וגם כל מיני סיכומים שקשורים לפודקאסט של היום. דבר שני זה, שאם אתם רוצים לשפר את האנגלית המדוברת שלכם, בין אם זה בתחום העסקי, או לכל מטרה אחרת, לימודים, לימוד אקדמי, פסיכומטרי, או בתחום העסקי, תחום ההייטק, הנדסה, רפואה, אנחנו מתמחים בללמד אנגלית מדוברת, אנגלית מעשית, דיבור מעשי פרקטי, בשיטה המובילה בעולם. עשו איתנו קשר ב-053-550-1976. אנחנו זמינים גם בוואטסאפ כמובן. שימו לב מה מבדיל אותנו, כל הצוות שלנו כאן גם דובר עברית, ועוד שפה זרה אחד או שניים שאנחנו לומדים כחלק מההכשרה שלנו, אנחנו מורים מקצועיים שמתמחים באנגלית מדוברת בכל הרמות, ברמה מתחילים עד שפת אם. אנחנו מלמדים בשיטה מאוד חדשנית, כיפית, אבל בעיקר מניבה תוצאה משמעותית מאוד. אוקיי, אז בואו נעבור לגרג וג'ינה שידברו היום על נפוליאון היל והספר Think and Grow Rich. Let's go.
Thanks, Ariel, for that intro. Welcome back to the South with Shelley podcast. We've got an exciting episode lined up for you guys today. We're going deep with Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
It's a book that's been like a cornerstone of success advice since, 1937?
Way back then.
And still so relevant.
It's interesting, though. You know, people always think it's just about money, right? But Hill actually talked to all sorts of successful people.
Oh, really?
Not just the rich ones. He was looking for, common threads, the habits, the mindsets, the things that made for a richer life, but not just about the dollars, if you know what I mean.
So we're talking about unlocking potential, not just filling up your bank account.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm hooked already. So where do we even begin with a book that's packed with so much?
Well, for you today, let's hit the core stuff, the meat of it.
Okay, love that.
We'll unpack how Hill says you cultivate that burning desire.
Burning desire, okay.
And then the role of faith, which is kind of surprising, and then something called auto-suggestion.
Auto-suggestion.
And then we'll get into some surprisingly practical stuff like advice on knowledge, imagination, and planning that you can actually use, like today.
Ooh, I like it. Actionable stuff. Let's dive in. Okay, so Hill really kicks things off with this idea of burning desire, right?
Right from the start, yeah.
Not just wishing for something, but this deep, intense longing to achieve it.
It's not daydreaming, it's fuel. It's got to be so strong it drives everything else you do. And he actually lays out this super specific 6-step formula to cultivate it. 6 steps.
Wow. Okay. Hit me with it.
All right. So first, you define your goal, crystal clear. None of that wishy-washy stuff.
Okay.
Then you figure out the price you're willing to pay. And that could mean sacrifices, hard work, getting uncomfortable.
Makes sense. No pain, no gain, right? What's next?
Then a deadline. No, someday. A real date on the calendar. And then a detailed plan of action, steps, milestones, the whole 9 yards.
Turning that desire into action. I like it.
You got it. And then this is where it gets kind of wild. Write it all down.
Everything.
Goal, price, deadline, the plan, everything. And you read it out loud twice a day, every single day.
Whoa, twice a day. That's intense. What's the point of all that?
Hill believed it was all about the subconscious, imprinting that desire deep down, keeping it front and center so you don't get sidetracked.
I can see that. Keep you focused.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got the burning desire down. What's next in Hill's, recipe for success?
Next up is faith. And it's not just blind optimism. It's truly believing you can achieve your goal. And this is where things get a little, unconventional. He talks about auto-suggestion.
Okay, auto-suggestion. That sounds kind of like a self-driving car for your mind. What is that all about?
Think of it this way. You're feeding your mind positive statements, right? Repeating them about your goal and how you can achieve it until it basically becomes your reality.
So convincing yourself you can do it.
Yeah, reprogramming your mind. You replace doubt with belief.
Kind of like those motivational posters. but on a deeper level.
More than just thinking positive, it's like literally rewiring your thought patterns. You're visualizing your success, getting rid of that negative self-talk, just saturating your mind with positivity. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Powerful stuff if you really commit to it.
Yeah.
So we got desire, we got belief. What's the next ingredient?
Knowledge. But Hill's very specific. It's got to be specialized knowledge, like tailored to your goal.
Okay, so like knowing how to code if you want to build an app, not just the history of computers.
You got it. General knowledge is good, but for a specific goal, you need those specific skills, the right information for that field.
Makes total sense. So how do we go about getting this specialized knowledge then?
It's all about continuous learning. Books, articles, courses, workshops, mentors, you name it. Surround yourself with experts. Always fill those knowledge gaps.
Soaking it all up. Okay, so we've got the desire, the belief, the knowledge. Are we ready to just jump in and start doing things now?
Hold your horses. This is where most people trip up, Hill says. They've got the dream, the belief, even the knowledge, but they're missing something crucial. A plan.
Oh, planning. I'll admit, not my strongest suit. So like a detailed plan with steps and deadlines, not just like winging it.
Bingo. He believed a clear plan is like your roadmap to that goal. Otherwise, you're just wandering around hoping to bump into success, which is, not ideal.
So how detailed are we talking here?
Hill was all about breaking it down. Smaller steps, manageable, each with its own deadline. Like, think of building a house. You don't just start throwing bricks around. You've got blueprints, a structure.
Love that analogy.
Okay.
Desire, faith, knowledge, the plan. Now what?
Well, you got to make decisions and stick to them even when it gets tough. Decisiveness and persistence. That's what Hill says is next.
Oh, that's the hard part, right? Any tips on how to actually become more decisive?
Hill believed knowing your goals clearly makes choices simpler. Get the info you need, commit, and then just act. Don't overthink it.
So trust your gut and go for it. What about persistence, though?
Persistence is pushing through no matter what. It's that unwavering commitment to see your plan through, even when you hit roadblocks.
Yeah, that's key. But how do you stay motivated when things get really, really tough?
Well, that's where the next principle comes in. One of Hill's most famous ideas, the mastermind group.
The mastermind group. Okay, now that sounds intriguing. What's that all about?
It's about finding people, like-minded folks who share your values, your goals, you meet up regularly, you support each other.
Well, it's like a support group, but for like achieving your dreams.
More than that, more like a collective brain trust. You bounce ideas off each other, keep each other accountable, offer encouragement when things get tough. You know how it is.
I can see how that would be so helpful, especially for those big goals. I've been thinking about this whole subconscious mind thing. It keeps coming up in Hill's work.
Absolutely. Hill was convinced that the subconscious is like this powerful force. It shapes our reality, even if we're not aware of it. And that's where autosuggestion comes in again, and visualization, getting rid of those negative influences.
So we're like training our subconscious to work for us, not against us.
Exactly. Feeding it positive messages, picturing our success, kicking doubt to the curb. We're basically reprogramming it to get on board with our goals.
Aligning everything, conscious and subconscious. That's wild. So we've got all these tools, right? The desire, the faith, knowledge, the plan, being decisive, persistence, the mastermind, the subconscious. What could possibly stop us now?
Well, according to Hill, there's one last biggie, the final boss to conquer: fear.
Ugh, tell me about it. Fear is something we all deal with.
He was convinced fear is like this ultimate roadblock. It keeps people from really reaching their potential.
So true. What kind of fears did Hill think were the worst culprits?
He listed some common ones, like poverty, being criticized, health problems, losing love, even fear of death. These are like universal worries, and they can really paralyze us if we let them.
Wow, that's a pretty heavy list. Stuff we've all thought about, for sure. But how do you even start to fight those fears? They can feel so, deep-rooted.
Hill believed knowledge is power, even when it comes to fear. First step, you got to identify those specific fears, like what's really holding you back. Name them. Then you can start to challenge the negative thoughts they bring up.
So shine a spotlight on them, drag them out into the open.
Exactly. Once you've named them, you can start to question if they're even real. Are they real threats or just things you're imagining? Are those negative thoughts rational or just leftover baggage from the past?
So reframing those fears.
Yeah.
Seeing them from a new angle.
You got it. And the final blow, action. Hill believed action is the best cure for fear. The more you do, even though you're scared, the weaker those fears get.
You got to face them head on. Show them who's boss.
Exactly. Each step you take, it builds your confidence, you get more resilient. And Hill believed that by repeatedly facing your fears, you eventually, neutralize their power.
I love that. We don't have to be controlled by our fears. We can actually beat them.
That's the whole point. Now, Hill also talked about the power of the mind, and this is where things get a little, how should I put it, metaphysical.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm ready for the metaphysical stuff.
He believed the brain's like a broadcasting station, sending out vibrations based on our thoughts. And he argued that if we really focus on our goals, we can actually influence the world around us.
Wait, so our thoughts are sending signals, attracting things into our lives. Is this like telepathy or something?
Not telepathy, more like focused intention. Think of it like a magnet. If you're always thinking about success, you're more likely to see those opportunities, attract those helpful people.
I'm not sure about the whole thought vibration thing, but I do get that being positive and focused changes how you approach things, challenges, and opportunities.
Totally. Whether you buy the whole vibration thing or not, the takeaway is the power of focused intention. What you focus on, it grows.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've covered a lot here. Desire, faith, knowledge, planning, decisiveness, persistence, the mastermind group, the subconscious mind, facing your fears, even this idea of the brain as a broadcaster. Anything else we need to hit before we wrap this up?
There's one more of Hill's principles, kind of subtle, but he thought it was super important for making the right choices, on that path to success.
Okay, I'm listening.
He called it the sixth sense, and it's like intuition guiding you towards good decisions, almost like an inner compass.
Intuition, so like trusting your gut.
Yeah, exactly.
I've definitely had those moments where something just felt right, even if it didn't make sense logically at the time.
That's it. That's what Hill's talking about. He thought the sixth sense, it develops through experience, self-reflection, and a deep connection to that subconscious mind we were talking about.
So it's not just random hunches. It's more like a knowing that comes from, paying attention to those inner nudges.
Exactly. He even recommends things like meditation, journaling to quiet the mind so you can really hear that inner voice.
Makes sense. Those practices are all about creating space to look inward, become more self-aware.
Right. It's about learning to recognize those intuitive whispers, trust them, even when they go against what everyone else is saying.
Pay attention to those aha moments and see if they hold up over time.
Yes. And don't be afraid to act on them, even if they don't seem logical at first.
It can be scary to go against the grain, but sometimes those gut feelings lead to amazing discoveries, things you'd never have expected.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground, from desire and faith to knowledge and planning, persistence, that mastermind group, the subconscious, conquering fear, even tapping into this sixth sense. What's fascinating to me is how much Hill focuses on the mental and emotional side of success. It's not just strategy, it's mindset.
Totally. It's those inner qualities, the desire, the belief, resilience that really help you achieve your goals.
Exactly. Master your inner world and you can create the outer world you want.
This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of Think and Grow Rich, but you've given me so much to think about.
There's always more to explore with Hill's work.
For sure. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that success isn't just luck. It's not just circumstance. It's about developing the right mindset and taking action consistently.
Couldn't agree more. And that brings us to a question for all of you listening. Which of these principles resonated with you most today? What's one small step you can take right now to put it into action? Think on that, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.